So if, like me, you tend to lose your stitch markers, that's one way to keep them. You can attach them to your shoes. So, welcome to another episode of Along the Lines. Today, it's a very special episode. We have a guest. We've got Stephen West.
Hello.
And we are in the wonderful sheep shop here in Cambridge.
Yes.
So, we've just finished a great class, which was really interesting, about shawl construction. And we've learned some great tips, some really helpful little things that you don't necessarily learn on your own by being around such an expert.
Yeah, little yarn over tricks and the top-down shawl workshop. It's my favorite topic, that and color.
Yeah. Oh,
favorite
yes, and
things.
colour, as you can see, we've got just a few of Stephen's shawls with us.
That's how I always travel, with my own backdrop.
Must be quite interesting when the suitcase gets opened at customs.
Yeah, the only weird reaction I had was I was in Mexico one summer and they opened it up and they didn't even know what it was. They're like, "What is this? Like wools, shawls, sweaters? Why in the summer?" So I'm just like, "Oh yeah, I'm a knitter," and I told them a little story, and they're like, "We still don't know what that means. Like, just go ahead."
Yeah, no drugs there. We're
No.
good. So you've done quite a few cities with this tour. What's it been
Yes.
like? Is it the first time that you do a tour like this?
It's the first time in Europe I've done a big tour like this. I've done them in the States, and so I'm used to that. But I'm seeing new countries, new knitters, new projects that I haven't seen before. So I started in Finland in October. So I've been to Finland, and I don't know the order of everything, so I'm just going to say a list. But I've been to Finland, Berlin, Denmark, Italy, Israel, the Netherlands, and now I'm here in the UK.
Yep.
Which is a little bit easier with the language.
Yeah,
Some places in Italy, half the knitters English. It wasn't as fluent, but that wasn't a problem because I show so many samples. So we end up just like gesturing and like touching.
I'm sure the Italians enjoyed the gesturing too.
So in each place, it's been really fun and different to meet. Yeah.
And do you have
knitters.
Many cities left on your tour? I guess we're getting close to Christmas.
This is the
now,
end of the year. So I just am here in Cambridge. I'll go to Brighton next week and Cork, Ireland.
Oh, you're going to love Brighton.
Yeah.
One of my favourite places.
I've heard great things about Brighton.
Oh, yeah. It's very, very cool. So for those who aren't familiar with Stephen's work, here's some of his work, and I'll show some more photos later in the video. But I would say one way to describe Stephen's work is that he's just changed the perception of knitting. It doesn't have to be your granny's work. It doesn't have to be a single color, Aran, very thick jumper. It can be wild. It can be wonderful. It can be heavily textured, great colors. And I think all of the projects that we've all been looking at today allow us to kind of challenge our own views as well.
Yeah.
Like this is quite a simple project in reality.
Simple shape, but fun with the color.
Exactly, it just gives it so much life. I really like that one.
Little
that
violet
color.
holes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's a fun variegated yarn held together with a mohair. So I like knitting without rules. Like I never read what needle size goes with the yarn. When it's labeled, like I'll knit with what needle I want it. Maybe I'll double the yarn.
Yeah, I've noticed you do a lot of doubling up the yarn to kind of get different kind of colorways by mixing the two together.
Blends.
Yeah. So I got the viewers of Along the Lines to send in some questions, and I've had some fantastic questions.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd ask you a few of them. So Andre Sunetz, who's also a podcaster, asks, and I think this was probably the most asked question: where do you draw your inspiration for these projects? Where does it come from?
I dream knitting, I sleep knitting, I eat knitting. Like, where does it not come from? I see the whole world with knitting goggles on. So whenever I'm traveling, like yesterday in the train, I was taking pictures of the seats because it was like a cool navy blue with these like curly, pastel-y, tacky colors on top of it. I'm like, oh, this is so ugly, but I can make it fabulous.
See, we all get really bored and we hate the train services in the UK, but Stephen manages to make magic out of it. So
I mean, I won't use the same material it was made out of.
No,
I'll use like a nice merino wool. But yeah, I was inspired by that dark navy and then these clashing colors on top of it. So yeah, whenever I travel, I'm always seeing things like, oh, that would be a cool color combo. And then when I make the things, like with the shapes and the styles of things, I usually start with like one idea. Like years and years ago, it was a triangle. I was really fascinated by that. And then I start playing kind of geekily, like nerdy variations on the triangle. Like, what happens if I put an increase there and also there? Oh my gosh, it's a new shape. So it's like really simple and like nerdy.
But I think that's what makes it so brilliant, being able to go back to, so Stephen was showing us the Boneyard shawl, which is one of the very early ones, and seeing the evolution from that to some of the more recent, completely mad, completely brilliant ones. And you'll all be happy to hear that I have cast on my exploration station, which I'd been talking about, which you all voted for. So that's going to be happening probably over Christmas. Next question comes from Tracy Holroyd Smith, who says, what do you think are future trends for knitting? Seeing as brioche and speckly yarns are, I would say, one of the things that you've really adopted in the past couple of years. We've all loved that.
Both of those things, I never feel like I'm inventing things or styles or shapes, but I like take something and go crazy with it, like take the shawl and make like 500 of them. I love Brioche Stitch. I learned it from Nancy Marchant, who's a friend of mine and a designer in Amsterdam. So I'm lucky she's like my neighbor. I can like knock on her door and be like, show me your new brioche project or help me fix this increase. So she taught me and I went crazy with it right away. And it's not a new stitch, but it's newer than other techniques. And it's a technique that doesn't like belong to a country. Like it's not like Fair Isle or Estonian lace that has its home. Like lots of people do brioche. And it's just been becoming more popular because more people are finding out about it and taking it into new places because it's a simple form. People would argue with that. Some people hate it and some people love it.
I'm not sure how simple. I'm still fighting
But like there's the basic ribbing you can do, but you can do lace, you can do cables, you can do all kinds of color modifications to it. And it still hasn't been played with that much, you know, compared to Fair Isle knitting, lace knitting, sock knitting. So I feel like it's this kind of baby technique among them that is having its moment to shine. And a lot of people are catching on or at least noticing it. So I think that's a great thing to have anything with knitting that's fresh and new and gets you inspired again.
I think that's exactly why I'm enjoying things like all the new designers on Ravelry and all the people kind of trying different things, is that it gives us kind of all a nice big hub to discover all those things and to see them featured and to see, and I think you were saying as well, how different people adopt patterns and then change them in their own way, in ways that they're comfortable with, in ways that are a little bit more at ease.
So that's, brioche is something I see keep like happening as another ongoing trend, I guess. I'm really into marled textures, so I foresee, at least for me, and what I see other knitters and designers doing too, double-stranded, triple-stranded projects I see a little bit more of that right now. So I can see that happening. Yeah,
the Hedgehog Fiber has been using or suggesting that to people as well.
Yeah.
So kind of encouraging people to use possibly something that's a little bit kind of crazy and wild that one person may love, but that's too bright for some others, and then mixing it with another color to give a nice kind of a nice effect.
Yeah,
a
blend.
Blend of two colors. Nice. And kind of going in that theme of some of the wild and wonderful colors, how do you choose your own colors, and how would you suggest somebody who's still in developing their comfort with color?
Yeah.
How would you?
I'm very opinionated about which colors I love, and it's always changing. So for me, when I'm picking a color, I always have like a mood I'm in, like one I gravitate towards. And some people are always in that mood, like they're like a blue girl or they're like a green guy, and they always go for that color. I have those, but I started to kind of like force myself to try other things. And I experimented with bright pops several years ago, and it's evolved into an explosive, colorful range of choices. But it always starts with one color. Even for crazy multi-strand projects, I start with one inspiration color and use that as the inspiration to build from it. Because it can be overwhelming to like, oh, which colors are good? Which ones looks right? Which one is best for me? Like, I don't think there's like a best color for anyone. You just need to like listen to your instinct and like, what mood are you in? Like, if you love that pink yarn that's like screaming at you, like, choose that one.
Make it work.
Yeah, don't feel like you have to make the right choice.
And that's the beauty of things like shawls, is that if you're in one mood one day, you can wear one thing, and if you're in a different mood another day.
Yeah.
It's not like you're not fixed, you're not stuck with something. So wear something that matches your mood.
Yeah.
So it's interesting seeing people who are a little bit color shy kind of trying to find a way to introduce those colors. So perhaps introducing them in mild ways a little bit like that is one way to soften.
And you can never go wrong with neutrals in a pop. So if there's a color that you love, but you're like, oh, it's a little scary, like I don't know how to work with that, it doesn't have to be a whole like lime acid green sweater.
I think this one was a perfect example of that kind of coral orangey color that's kind of pretty wild, but the other one's kind of tone it down really nicely.
Statement color, and then you can complement it with the neutrals.
There you go. Fashion advice for today.
Yeah.
So lots of our viewers are really fabulously geeky, and we're asking, what would be your favorite knitting gadget?
Oh my gosh, my favorite knitting gadget I have envisioned in my mind already. It's a stationary bike that could also become like a real bike that moves, but a stationary bike with all of these accessories built onto it. So when I pedal, like that's going to wind the ball of yarn for me. So it's going to be a Swift attached to my feet moving so I can work out. And I have a chair that I'm sitting in while knitting and pedaling. And there's a rack where I can read my pattern, or like an iPad attached to it that I could like talk to, and it writes the pattern as I speak to it. And then there's all these, like anything I need. It has my water bottle holder. It has like stitch markers around me that I can just grab. And so everything knitting I need is like attached to my stationary bike. Yes. Like a Willy Wonka crazy gadget.
Excellent. And I take it in Amsterdam you haven't quite taken to cycling plus knitting at the same time?
Yet.
Still keeping a bit safer than that?
Yeah, in Amsterdam it's a crazy biking city. So in the country I might try it, but not in the city. You need to be on alert in that city. Yeah.
Well, excellent. And I think final question, what is, given that you've lived in different places and you've traveled to quite a few places, what's your favorite city in the world?
Reykjavik. I love Reykjavik. For some people it's hard. Like, I love all the world. I love traveling. Reykjavik. It's the best city for a knitter. It's really relaxed. There's wool everywhere. There's 3 times as many sheep as people in that country. Like good wool is everywhere to be seen. And I like that it's not too crowded. I like a city that has culture and art and music, but that's not like, overwhelming. Yeah. Because I like to chill out and just cafe hop and knit. Yeah. Yeah. But I've recently been to like Finland and Denmark, and I haven't spent much time there previously. And that's really piqued my interest up there. Excellent. Because I like the cold. There's a knitting history there.
So the Finns and the Danes might be seeing you again then.
I think so. Definitely some more next year. Yeah, really intense knitting countries there.
I would love to visit those places too. Yeah. So again, thank you so much for that workshop. We all had so much fun. I think everyone's kind of also picked out of the baskets of lovely Sparkleduck yarn that's here for all of us. Yeah. We've all worn and tried on all the samples. I'm pretty sure Stephen got all of his samples back.
I think so.
we did all
I'll
have
check your bag before we leave.
We'll all get the pat down before we're allowed to leave. So I hope that you'll continue over the coming years to inspire and to produce some fantastic patterns that excite everyone.
Definitely.
And if you haven't seen Stephen's patterns, definitely have a look on Ravelry. They're easy to find, and there's quite a variety depending on your level of confidence as a knitter. And again, choose color schemes that inspire you, and just have fun. As you said, there's no rules, just knitting is all about having fun.
Yeah, have fun and choose, select from the variety. There's so many great yarns out there today, so it's a shame to only knit with one color. So at least spice it up with a little pop. Yeah. Could even be like an emerald green, a jewel pop, but yeah, have fun, make different choices.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Actually.
Yeah. It's so nice to visit.
Yeah, great.
No, it's Stephen was saying, put one wedge.
Can I just show off your awesome jumper?
Of course.
Let's see.
Do you want me on the scooter?
Oh, double cool on the scooter.
The scooter to match my old tiny handbag, which I don't have with me. If you knit that with a really nice.
What's that?
Bubbles. So if I'm knitting, I didn't realise there were bubbles on them.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Which one is this one?
Doodler.
Is this the doodler?
Yeah. locking us all in.
And it begins.